So today I was thinking I would go through my tarot deck collection. I have 11 decks and I've been collecting for a while now. I have some mass-produced decks, but I also tried to support indie artists and designers, so you'll see some of that as well. This first deck is the Waite, of course. This is the most classic deck. The original version of this has slightly different coloring, so the colors are more stark and sort of evenly applied. And in this version, you can see it's been done in a kind of colored pencil. If you see the sky, you can tell, like in this card. But I just love this deck. I think the colors are so vivid and beautiful. And it's also the most classic deck, so if you're just starting out with tarot, it's a good idea to start with some version of Waite, just because a lot of the other decks are based on this imagery and symbolism, so it will give you a good foundation for learning how to read tarot. And of course, it's the classic four suits of swords, pentacles, cups, and wands, and then the major arcana. I love the aces in this deck. Like that. There are different versions of Waite. There's a really beautiful centennial version with a light blue background. The original, as I said, and they all have different coloring. I think the original's back is like a kind of plaid. I know my friend has that one. So the next deck I'm going to share with you is the Mucha deck. So all the artwork in this deck is from Alphonse Mucha. And the imagery, this card is so beautiful. The imagery is very similar to that of the Waite. So this is the Tower, for example. Here's the Seven of Cups. It's very similar to Waite. But all of the artwork has been done by Mucha. So I believe in some cases the artwork has been sort of it's gotten a new layout or has been combined with something else, but all the artwork itself is from him. So I like this deck because there are other art decks that have beautiful art, but maybe it doesn't go with the symbolism of tarot and the imagery of tarot, so it can be kind of confusing to infer meaning if all the imagery is just beautiful but not really practical. So when I'm looking for decks, that's something I try to keep in mind, is not only finding beautiful decks but also functional ones that you can actually read. So this is a beautiful deck, and it's about the same size as the Waite. Next is the Holly Simple tarot deck, which again goes really closely with the original Waite imagery. I just dropped this on the floor, so some of these might be upside down. But you can see her, I think she's an artist based in Brooklyn. And so in this deck, she's working with the same suits as Waite. So here are the cups, swords, let's see, more cups, here are the wands, like that. And then the pentacles. Oh, this is a fun card. This is the Magician. Ace of Cups. Oh, here's Pentacles, I believe. Yeah, Father of Pentacles. So she's also renamed the suit cards, or the, the Knight and the King, as I think they're father, mother, daughter, and son. Let's see. And what I love most about this deck is that it's still really, Mother of Pentacles here. It's still really close to Rider Waite, but of course with Holly's own, here's the Son of Swords. With Holly's own, and the Daughter of Pentacles. There we go. So that's what she's renamed those cards. What I'm trying to say is that her artwork, I think, is so beautiful. It's really fun and, in a way, lighthearted, but then at the same time, there's a creepiness to it. So it's not so lighthearted that your readings feel ultra trivial, but at the same time, let's see if we can find Tower. Well, this one's pretty gruesome. The readings come across less harsh. This is the Devil, too. So even though it's a dark image, it's cartoonish enough and the colors are bright enough that I think it reads as a really fun deck. And we have another Rider-Waite style deck. This is the back with the 4 suits: Pentacles, Swords, Wands, and Cups. And these cards are plastic with a gold detailing for all the images. So you can see it's really closely modeled on the Rider-Waite. So Page of Wands, here's the 8 of Cups. So beautiful. Normally I don't think that such minimalist artwork is great for tarot. It can be nice to have a lot of detail, so there's a lot to read in the card and a lot to interpret. But something about the way these cards are done just really attracts me to them. The artist's name is Tina Gong, who I think came to tarot relatively recently. And she's also a programmer, so these cards come with an app. You can access the app even without the cards, where there's kind of like flashcards for each one and its meanings. So it's a really good way to learn tarot if you don't know how to read the cards yet. And again, even though the design is all original and from Tina Gong, it's very closely modeled on Rider-Waite. So if you learned with these cards, like the Magician is basically the same image, just in a really modern, original style. So if you learn on these cards and then go to a different deck, you should have no problem, remembering the symbolism of each card. Also, these cards are plastic, so they're pretty much indestructible, and they also make a really lovely sound when you shuffle them. So those are those. This is maybe my favorite deck. I have 3 that I love. All the decks that I have, I have 3 that I really, really love. This is probably number 1. When I pull up the other 2, I'll tell you which ones they are. So after Tina made the Golden Thread deck, which is the one I just showed you, she made this one, which has a beautiful back. And this is called the Luminous Tarot. I could just play with this for days. It's so beautiful. And then these, instead of the artwork in this deck, instead of being done on the computer, like with the golden thread deck, it was all done by hand in pencil. And so you can see too, Tina has some imagery from Rider-Waite. I mean, she keeps the same suits, and some things seem similar, but there's a lot of new elements as well, like the birds and the Two of Swords. Some of these are upside down. Three of Wands is totally new, full, totally different. So she has given the cards her own interpretation. There's some really beautiful cards in here as well. Let's see. This one I really like. If I'm being honest though, I like the golden thread deck better. But I'm very happy to have this deck because it's so beautiful, and I think she did a really nice job on it. It's nice to have in the summer too, or if you're somewhere where there's natural light and the cards just gleam like this. And then we have the Linestrider deck. So the back is all watercolor. This was originally an indie deck, and then I think it got picked up by a big distributor. So here. So you can get it on Amazon for something like $20, I think. So all the artwork is in this beautiful watercolor style. Let's see where some of my favorites are. This is beautiful. There's this one. Let's see. This one's really beautiful. They're all beautiful, of course, but there's a few that I'm trying to find and I can't. Basically just, it's like these beautiful women with animals and really beautiful watercolor backdrop. I don't know where they are, but you get the idea. It's a really nice deck, and it's pretty popular too, so it's worth checking out. It's also very, very affordable, which is so great. Here's the cover. So this is on the box that the deck comes in, and also the book that it comes with, which is really nice for getting additional interpretation, so you don't have to read the cards only intuitively, though you can also do that if you want. Then we have the wooden tarot. So these are the backs. The artist of this deck did all this. These aren't wood, they are just normal cardstock, but they did the art on wood and then transferred the images to the cards. So this deck's a little different. The suits are different. So you have bones, stones, blooms, which are the flowers. Oh, there's that card. And then plumes, which are feathers. So that's the three of plumes, which the card imagery is very similar to like the Three of Swords. So there's just a lot of nature, and that's what's so nice about this deck, is that it's really inclusive. So it's not full of people who look a certain way, and can only be interpreted a certain way. It's really much more open to your own interpretation and just inclusive. My favorite part of this deck are these God cards. I'll show you. Oh, the Devil is also really lovely. So, mirroring the imagery on the back, there are gods for each of the four suits. This is the God of Stones, so it's like this beautiful eye and his hands holding a stone in the air. Same thing with the God of Bones, and the triangles here are representative of the elements that these correspond to. So there's that. So you can see the fire here. Then there's earth here in the back. He's holding bones in the air. I think the shape of the hand like this is so beautiful. Here's plumes with air in the background. It's like curving feather. And then water in the background, like this alchemical shape. And this beautiful lotus with some water coming off of it. So I quite like this deck. This one was also pretty affordable, and it's an indie deck as well. So next is the Marziano Tarot, which is done by this guy named Robert M. Place. I love the back here. It's so beautiful. And he does lots of different tarot decks. He also did an alchemical tarot deck. And he runs his own site, which is a bit outdated, but works perfectly. So you can also buy directly from him, which is great. He's very talented. So he's replaced all the major arcana with gods here. And then he's replaced the suits with birds. So there are eagles, doves, let's see, phoenixes, and turtle doves. There we go. And so you'll notice these cards don't have any imagery because they're pips. It's just the number of the deck, of the suit that it corresponds to. So the 7 of turtle doves, for example. I just think the art is very simple, but just beautiful. And I don't know much about the history of this deck, but I do know that it's based on one of the oldest tarots known. So that's pretty cool. This is a beautiful card. And the gods' names are in Italian, I believe. Diana. Let's see if we can find another one. Giove. Marte. Nettuno. Yeah, I think it's Italian. So this is a really beautiful deck as well. And we have the Fountain Tarot. So pretty the way the light shines off that. The edges are lined in silver. It comes like this. I didn't modify my deck. And the cardstock is pretty hefty. These are really thick cards, which means that it's tougher to shuffle, but they seem more durable. And so this deck is full of completely original imagery. And what's so beautiful about it is that all of these images were full-size oil paintings before they were made into these cards. So there's so much detail in them, and the colors are really just beautiful and well blended. The world is kind of dreamlike, and so I find with these cards too that the interpretations are also more dreamlike and more fluid, and more intuitive, because it kind of feels with this deck like you are figuring something out that you already know somewhere. So it's just really beautiful imagery. I think it was a team of 3 who created this deck. So there was the artist. This one's quite similar to Rider-Waite, if it's, I think it is, yeah. Well, 5 of coins. So somebody who was an expert on the tarot and the painter, and then someone else who maybe knew more about tarot. I'm not exactly sure, but just really gorgeous cards. Just so much time put into this deck. It's really beautiful. Here is the Starchild Tarot. So this is what the back looks like. This is by a Canadian woman who does digital collage. Normally I don't like digital collage, just because, but I think her work is so beautiful and really cohesive. It's such a pretty card. So this is her version of the tarot, and she's kept the same suits as well. And you can see some things that seem similar to the Rider-Waite, but it's her own imagery. And the edges, oh, that's really lovely. Forget about how great some of these cards are. The edges are lined in this matte gold color, so it's very gold in person. I don't know how gold it looks to you, but it's really beautiful. It's kind of matte, and then the cards as well are matte. Let's see if I can find another one like this. So it's just really beautiful digital collage with a great color scheme. I don't know, it feels more modern, but still dreamlike. It feels very young, this deck. Very young, very feminine. It's a really beautiful card. Just like cosmic, I think. So it's fun to play with. And this is probably my third favorite deck, I would say. And now I'll show you my second favorite deck after the golden thread. Alright, so this is my second favorite deck. This is what the back looks like. This really beautiful pattern. And it comes, I don't have it with me right now, but it comes in this gorgeous box with a similar pattern with a little stamp on it that I didn't want to break, so I opened it from the bottom. These, like the Fountain Tarot, these images were all oil paintings before they were made into cards. So there's just, oh, and this deck is called the Pagan Otherworlds deck. So it's just so beautiful. I think it's really aptly named. The images are so earthy and beautiful. What's interesting about the minor arcana is that they aren't quite pips. They do have images that give some indication of the interpretation of the card, but there's pip imagery somewhere on the card. So like, let's see what else. Oh, there's such great cards. Oh, I'm passing on a good card. So this is like the Two of Pentacles with an image on the bottom that says something about the card, but there's also the pip here. Let me show you some of the cards in here. This is the Hanged Man. It's just gorgeous. Here's Death. The Devil. A little head in there. There's the Tower. Oh, I love these two. So here's the Moon. And then the Sun as well. They're just beautiful. And the other unique feature of this deck, if I can find them, well, it comes with an extra card, I believe called the Seeker, which can indicate whatever you want it to, but it's kind of someone who's intuitive, who is, it could be you using the tarot deck, but it also comes with moon phases. There we go. So I think there's 4 of these, but here are 2. So it comes with moon phase cards as well. This, I don't know how well you can see, but it's gold. Here's another one. Oh, they might all be hanging out together. Yeah, normally I keep them near the front. So it's just beautiful. And the new moon. And then this is the card I was talking about, the Seeker. So it's like the thinning of the veil here, or some kind of threshold. It's just beautiful. Oh, and then the numbers, that sign, the infinity sign. So that's the last deck. I do have some oracle decks, and I'm waiting for one more tarot deck to come in, so maybe when that comes in I'll do an update and include the oracle decks. If you have any questions, let me know, because I love to talk about tarot, and I'll see you soon.